No, you do it.
Welcome to Leafs Talk. Of course, it's the post-game edition here at Charlie Fitzwitzky's in Vaughan. Of course, this is brought to you all by McCain, and we are live streaming on TalkingSports.tv. Of course, I'm joined to my right here, or your left, Marty York and Eric Cohen, the Big E. To my left, your right. And big win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 3-1 scoreline against the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. I think we're all pretty shocked right now. They begin the season for the first time in franchise history with 2 road wins, 4 points in their back pockets. Gentlemen, what did you think of tonight's game?
I think Jonathan Bernier saved their bacon for the first 40 minutes. I think the Maple Leafs were badly outplayed the first 2 periods. Philadelphia had 7 power plays early on in this game, the first 40 minutes, and Bernier was outstanding. Bernier then forced to make a save in a 1-1 game with 3 seconds left on Wayne Simmons after a pretty iffy penalty shot call. And, Bernier did a great job. He showed the 5-hole. He closed it up, gave the Leafs a chance. And in the third period, I think, the Leafs realized, hey, listen, we don't deserve to be in this hockey game. We're in this hockey game. Let's get 2 points for our goaltender. They did just that. Dave Bolin, the star of the third period for the Maple Leafs with a couple of goals. And as you said, Michelle, 2-0 on the road for the first time in franchise history. Great start for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And Michelle, you said that we were surprised or shocked about this. I don't think that was the case. Both Eric and I
predict Leaf wins.
predict the Leafs would win tonight. And we look at this team on paper, and I know Eric's a homer, but I'm
We've
not.
established that,
I'm
Marty.
objective, and you look at the team on paper, and this team looks like it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Bernier, as you said, Eric, was absolutely outstanding, and don't forget this other and he's an acquisition. And don't forget the other one, Bolin, scored 2 goals tonight. I think he's a tremendous addition in these first 2 games.
Yep.
Now look, the accomplishment is significant. There is no question whatsoever that to go and open a season with 2 consecutive games on the road and go 2-0, it's significant. And you don't have a player like Clarkson with you.
Yep.
But don't go winning the Stanley Cup just yet, folks. I mean, there's a long, long way to go. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least caution fans that it's not, there's a long way to go.
It's 2 games into an 82-game schedule. The good news, though, for the Maple Leafs is I think that, unlike in previous years, and let's be honest, the last decade where the Leafs didn't make the playoffs for 9 years until last year, they never had good goaltending. They didn't get it from Andrew Raycroft. They didn't get it from Vesa Toskala. They didn't get it from JSG Guerre when he was here.
That's right.
They finally have 2 bona fide, very strong starting goaltenders that can compete night in and night out. And I've always believed in Jonathan Bernier. And like I said in the pregame show, the only reason this guy didn't play in LA wasn't because of his play, it was because of Jonathan Quick. He's getting his chance, and you're going to see Jonathan Bernier is going to prove he is an elite goaltender in this league.
He's the story today.
Well, I want to ask you, gentlemen, as well, a little bit about the line juggling that occurred throughout the game by Randy Carlyle and putting David Bolin up there and kind of dropping Nazem Kadri. He didn't play a lot, especially in the second period or the beginning of the second period. So David Bolin getting much more opportunity and obviously doing something with it with those 2 goals tonight.
I'll tell you this about Randy Carlyle. He's a hard ass. If he doesn't like your game, your ass will be stapled to the bench.
Yep.
And Nazem Kadri was benched for the beginning of the second period. We saw Jake Gardiner was benched for a lot of the third period. The Leafs were rolling with 4 defensemen. He doesn't care about your feelings, Carlyle.
You know what?
He's going to make adjustments based on how you're playing.
Okay, but Eric and Michelle, I happen to think that in this day and age, a coach has to be a little more sympathetic.
Okay.
You just signed Kadri to a big contract.
2-year bridge deal.
He is supposed to be your future.
Yep.
He's supposed to be a very important part of this team.
Right.
You bench him in the second game of the season after 3 or 4 periods. What's that going to do to his morale? And I think that you have to worry about stuff like that. You can't just be a coach and say, okay, I'm going to sit you down. I'm going to sit you down now. Now I'm going to sit you. I mean, you're going to piss people off.
He will. That's what I was saying. He doesn't really care about pissing people
But
off.
I think that has a negative, adverse effect on you.
And listen, it did last year. Mikhail Grabovski, we talked about him on the pregame show.
Yeah.
Grabovski was playing 10 minutes a game for this Leaf team. He was not playing top power play minutes. He was not playing on the first 2 lines, and we saw his game suffer. You would hate to see that happen to Nazem Kadri if he just, not in Carlisle's good books.
And you know he's a sensitive guy. He got upset in the past when Brian Burke was
and
bringing
Ron
him
Wilson.
up and down and up and down. And Ron Wilson.
Well, the thing is with Kadri, though, I guess if I'm Randy Carlisle, he knows that he's obviously number 2 center.
Yep.
He's not that checking guy. He's definitely not on the 4th line. You're supposed to be my number 2 center. So if you're not playing like a number 2 center, where am I going to put you?
Right.
So that's
so do
where
you
he's
agree
coming.
that he should be
Yeah,
benched?
I'm totally in agreement.
Wow.
Because you know what, kid? How much has he been complaining over that offseason and he wanted that really
Holding
big
out.
contract.
All-
Exactly.
all
holding
I'm
out.
saying, guys-
You got to play with the big boys if you want big boy
No,
money.
I understand what you're both saying, and I understand Carlisle's mentality too. But this is a different era. It's not like the old days when a coach could just bench someone. You got to worry about your prima donna players.
But you're
and Kadri's
coddling.
very much
That
a
means
prima
you're
donna. Yeah, and
coddling
you
him.
better coddle, because if you don't, you're going to get a completely pissed off guy who's just and you know how this happens.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care. His money's guaranteed.
I'll take you back to I guess it was 96, and of course the most famous not coddling was, Jacques Demers used to coddle Patrick Roy. He left, a new coach comes in, and the new coach and Patrick Roy, Mario Tremblay, aren't seeing eye to eye. Tremblay tries to
And
embarrass
Montreal
him,
hasn't been
leaves
the
him in.
same
That's
since.
right. Tremblay leaves him in for 7 goals. Finally pulls him against Detroit. Watt comes back to the bench. I
never
played my
played.
last game for the Montreal Canadiens. Traded
That was
immediately
terrible.
afterward.
That didn't
you're
sound
right,
French at all.
Oh, sorry. And Montreal's never been the same since. So if you're a head coach and you piss off a guy enough, you could very well lose him.
Yeah, that's right. It's a whole, and you could lose your own job as a coach. Like
true.
you just said.
Tremblay did,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, and so I just think you're playing with fire
Right.
if you're annoying one of your key players right at the
Last
outset.
year,
It's 4 periods into the
Marty,
season.
I agree. Listen,
you benching him?
Last year, Carlisle benched, I believe, Kessel and Van Riemsdyk one game for the 3rd period and a lot of overtime against Boston. And you know what? They responded after. And
Those guys are different people. It also
they're more
depends on your
veteran
makeup.
guys.
Right.
Right.
Kadri's a sensitive kid.
Yeah, that's true.
He would have slumps because he kept getting benched by Wilson.
So you know what? I'll tell you this. I bet you on Saturday night in the Leafs' next game, Carlisle will once again give Kadri an opportunity, give him top power play time. He'll give him a lot more ice time and say, listen.
He better.
Exactly. You know what? I sent you a message in Philly. Show me that you deserve to be top-end talent on this team. And he does. I mean, he is a top-end talent.
But at the same time, when you're talking about, the top line on the power play unit, the last minute or so of that game, you saw Kessel, Lupul, and Bolin together.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but that was pretty good chemistry. I wouldn't want Kadri screwing that up.
No.
Sorry.
Listen,
That's a
Dave,
good point,
yeah,
too.
Dave Bolin
That's a good
played
point,
really
too.
well. And Carlisle's known as being a guy who likes to change on the fly, likes to line match. He does a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff. If he notices that there's not a lot of chemistry with the line, he's got a quick trigger finger. So
Yeah, short
you know what?
leash.
Exactly,
Yeah.
a very short leash. And
But
we saw
I
that
think
again.
it's wrong. He's got a good thing going right now. This team is pretty talented,
Yep.
and that includes Kadri. Whether he's
Absolutely.
number 2 center or number 3 or number 1, I don't care.
Right.
This guy has to contribute. If you piss him off this early in the season and he stops contributing because he's a pretty sensitive guy, then you're going to have some problems. Okay, sure, they won on the road for the first time in Stanley Cup, or in Leafs
Leaf
history.
history.
Somebody just distracted me. They
Go
just
Leafs,
yelled,
go
Leafs,
chance going on
Yeah.
here at the bar.
But I mean, it's early. They did win.
Yeah.
2 consecutive games. First
Yep.
time, as you mentioned, in
Yep.
Maple Leaf history on the road.
Yeah.
I wonder how many games they've actually started.
You know what?
How many
They
times?
generally,
Times that actually
they
happen,
probably
I know.
don't start a lot, 2 on the road. It's usually
They
one
have
and
the
one,
the
but-
toughest schedule in the NHL.
By
Why?
far, but well, listen, they've played 2 road games, and the majority of the league hasn't played a game yet. So they do start tough, and they get 4 points. Another example of a coach showing hard love, and it didn't work, Marty. Last year with Claude Julien and Tyler Seguin, he wasn't giving Seguin time in the first 2 lines, and Seguin got into that awful slump in the playoffs, wasn't scoring.
Well,
he was put in the 3rd line, and then Seguin was traded in the
There's
offseason.
countless examples.
Yeah.
What about the Rangers last year?
With Marion Gaborik.
Well,
and
Marion-
Richards.
And then it
Brad
backfired.
Richards,
It
yeah.
backfired on Tortorella,
That's
didn't
right, it did.
You cannot do this in this day and age.
Right.
It's a different era. Yeah, years ago, the coaches were the bosses for real.
Right.
Nowadays, it's the players who rule,
Yep.
especially the higher paid ones. And Kadri falls into that
Yep.
category. Mistake by
Okay,
Carlisle.
there you go.
Oh, we have some questions from the floor. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. What is on your mind?
Well, you were talking about a little bit earlier about Bernier holding the Leafs together for a couple of periods. Well, directed directly at the MME panel here, will Johnny B be starting against the Sens on Saturday night?
I think he should. Yeah, we talked earlier in the show on the pregame show that we didn't want to see the Leafs flip-flopping every game between Bernier and Reimer. You wanted to sort of let one guy get a chance to be that guy, and I think Bernier deserves, based on what he did tonight, to start Saturday. Give him a chance to start in front of the home crowd. This is the guy that you went and gave up a lot for, Matt Fratton, Ben Scrivens, to bring this guy in. You're paying him a lot of money. I think he absolutely earned the start on Saturday against Ottawa.
I think he did as well, but knowing maybe a little bit what Carlisle is like, I don't know if he's actually going to get it because it's the home opener.
Right.
If it wasn't the home opener, I would say for sure. But it's the home opener. I think maybe he goes back to Reimer.
I agree with both of you. I think it should be Bernier.
Right.
Yeah.
And knowing Carlisle,
Yeah.
I think it will be Reimer.
All right.
And I think he's going to alternate back and forth until one of them loses.
This is why we're the panel, because
That's right.
apparently we are on the same wavelength.
But I'm gonna say that Bernier starts. So we'll see. You guys
I don't think
both
he
say
will.
Reimer
Okay.
starts. I say Bernier starts.
say
All right,
Bernier
we'll
starts.
revisit that.
Yeah.
But Bernier certainly deserves to start because
Sure does.
Yes.
Bernier had an outstanding game. He's the reason that they were able to win for the first time on the road 2 consecutive games to open a season.
Yeah.
First, he's the reason. He stopped he made a great save on a penalty shot.
He did.
And let's not forget that. Usually penalty shots are...
Not only that penalty shot, which was a great save, but a lot of times when the Flyers were moving the puck around very well, and he had to go post to post, and he showed a lot of really good lateral movement, making a ton of big saves, especially, I thought, in the second period where Philadelphia had the bulk of their power plays.
Yeah.
The Leafs, I thought, guys, looked really tired at the outset.
They did.
of it.
Yes.
I thought they were suffering from... I thought they were going to lose the game because they kept giving up... They kept committing a lot of penalties.
Yep.
Right.
How many power plays did the
Well, they had
Flyers
7 in midway through the third. I don't know if they got another one after that, but certainly at least 7 times they were
So
killing.
again,
and
you
a
have to,
penalty shot. So
you
7
have
and
to
a penalty
attribute that
shot.
success to Bernier.
Yeah.
I mean, he stopped the penalty shot and some power
Yeah.
plays. But I still have some questions. I know they only allowed the 1 goal. I think it was largely due to Bernier. I still have some questions about the defense. I was not overly impressed with Paul Ranger, who committed the penalty. I don't know. That was a so-so call on that penalty shot.
But
What do you think of Ranger?
Just so you guys know, it was only 7
7?
total.
Yeah.
So 7 total
7,
with the penalty shot. Paul Ranger hasn't really... He hasn't impressed me over the first 2 games. I mean, he committed a lot of stupid penalties today. And
Turnovers.
Yeah, exactly. Turnovers galore. So, I mean...
He looks like a guy who's out of place for me.
Yeah.
I wonder if Morgan Riley should be playing.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, why are you going to keep him in the press box doing nothing?
Yeah, I have concerns about that.
He's only got 9 games to get in there and actually, get accustomed to the NHL if you're going to keep him. So why not throw him in there? And he's not going to obviously throw him in there now, being the home opener on Saturday. But I thought today would have been the day that he started him. Apparently not. Apparently, what he wanted to do was we saw clips of Carlisle and Gardner pregame, and them going over situational things in which he, committed a few errors, obviously, and didn't exactly do the greatest in last night's game against the Habs. But I guess he just needed Jake Gardner to get some retribution tonight, and which is why, Morgan Riley didn't get his chance tonight.
And we also saw a couple more opportunities of things we talked about in the pregame show. Players sticking up for one another after hits. Early on in the hockey game, Joffrey Lupul with a nice hit on Claude Giroux, and in comes Shen and drops the gloves and dropped Lupul, right?
Yeah.
And, you don't see Joffrey Lupul fight very often, but that was a situation early on. Later on in the game, you had a situation where, Colton Orr was involved, where he was hit, and he went and hit another flyer, Jay Rosehill,
Right.
and then that created another melee, and so things got pretty chippy at times. And again, I think the Leafs and Flyers both are 2 teams that you'll see that if you hit, a skilled player on one of those teams, whether it's a Kessel or Giroux, someone else is going to come in to their rescue pretty much any time.
Well, the thing is, what I'm wondering is why Randy Carlisle, I guess it must be the fatigue factor that he ran still 4 lines just with a 2-1 lead,
Right.
and then you had Colton Orr, Mark Fraser both go in the box. To me, as a coach in decision-making, it didn't seem like a very smart one, but I just mentioned, the fatigue could be the reason and the biggest factor why.
It's funny, isn't it? here the Leafs are 2-0, and we're all over.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
we're all. It's
we've
our
got to
nature.
dissect the game.
Well,
Yeah.
we've said
Dissect it, right?
we've said that Bernier was extremely impressive,
Yes.
and he was for his debut. He was outstanding. But we're criticizing. I am at least the benching of Kadri. You're
Yep.
not. We're criticizing the use of the line. I mean, criticizing Ranger. So we're seeing flaws, and
Right.
yet the team's 2-0. So if they can rectify these flaws, I mean, I'm not going to start going there about the Stanley Cup. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I still think it's crazy.
I do too.
But they are competitive, and we're also they're going to be in contention. I think.
Oh, they're a contender. There's no doubt they're a contender.
But I'm not giving them the cup yet. But I want to talk about Morgan Riley. Just going back to
Yep.
that again, because you made a good point off the air, Eric. He's a 19-year-old kid?
Yeah,
Yep.
their
Okay.
first round pick.
And he's sitting in the press box
Yeah.
watching the game. I don't know, folks. I mean, I think, again, just to question the Leafs again, I think you cannot sit this kid. You say that you think he'll sit Saturday as well.
Well, it's the home opener. You can't put him in that kind of
lot of
situation.
pressure.
That's too much
I
pressure.
think this is bad, as you said, Eric, for the development of the guy.
Well, he's young, but you know what? I've been a Leaf fan all my life, and I've seen the Leafs screw up a lot of young defensemen. Luke Shen,
Yep.
Ally Afraidy back in the day by playing him too early, and he lost his confidence early on. Jake Gardner, a lot of Maple Leaf young, high-profile first-round defensemen have had this issue where they've gotten some playing time early, and then they've been sitting, and they lose their confidence. And when you're 20, 21 years old and your confidence is wavering, and you don't feel like you belong, that's a big problem. And Morgan Riley hasn't had a chance to prove that he belongs, and that scares me a little bit right now.
Well, I think the thing that scares me the most is that he's seeing guys that he played with last year, and Jake Gardner and
Right.
Paul Ranger, make these critical
Yeah, they
errors,
are.
and yet he's not getting his opportunity to show what he can do.
That's a really good point. I mean, maybe there's a method to the madness right now.
There's gotta be.
But I'm not certain. You know, I heard a lot of people saying a lot of positive things about Ranger going into this
Yeah.
season. Okay, I've seen nothing from him in 2 games. In fact, I've seen a lot of negatives from him in 2 games, and I just feel that if you were missing 3 years in a row in the NHL and then you come back, it's not that easy.
No.
I mean, look at a lot of guys. I mean, Guy Lafleur wasn't the same after he missed a few years when he came
Yeah,
back.
he had personal issues. He doesn't want to talk about it. but
Ranger?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But whatever his reason for not playing for 3 years was, anyone who takes, and even Mario Lemieux would take 3 years
Exactly.
off, and he would need some time to get back into the fold, and
So
it's going to take him a
why
little
all this
while.
Ranger schmanger
Yeah.
stuff? I don't see it.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I'd rather see Riley.
well, I'm really impressed. Well, and I have been basically for the last season as well. Cody Franzen, and what a
He
completely
was a must for them to sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
completely
was.
different.
He's our best defenseman.
Yes,
Yeah.
completely different defenseman under Randy Carlyle. He looks
Yeah.
like the, Cody Franzen back from the Nashville
Yes.
Predators.
Yes.
The guy that everyone was, somewhat excited about when he came here and Brian Burke acquired him, and then Ron Wilson
Him
just
and Wilson just did
didn't
not
mesh.
see eye to eye. No,
Yeah.
no mesh at all. with
I mean,
those two.
people. I think a lot of people in the business will say that Dion Phaneuf is the best defenseman on the Maple Leafs. I think there's no question that it's Franzen.
Well, you know what? Cody Franzen won't make mistakes. He's not a liability the way a Phaneuf can be. Phaneuf is he, even in Calgary, he was used to try and line everyone up with those big hits.
yeah.
But when he would miss, he would put his team in a situation.
point.
And now it's one of those things. He doesn't try to crush people like he did. He's changed his game, but he unfortunately for Dion Phaneuf, what happens to him is he gets caught out of position. And, teams can chip pucks out, and he's sort of caught flat-footed, and it creates odd man rushes. That's Dion's biggest weakness, in my opinion, when I watch his game. And that never happens to Cody Franzen. He's never caught out of position. So in that sense, the good thing about Cody Franzen is he's not making any mistakes.
Right.
He's very steady. And that's what you want from a defenseman. A guy that you can count on, steady, and not going to make a glaring error at the wrong time.
And the irony is that he's your number 3 or number 4
Yeah.
defenseman.
Right.
He's not even your
Yeah,
1 or
Phaneuf
2.
plays a lot with Gunnarsson
Yes,
still, right?
yeah,
So-
absolutely. And they signed Gunnarsson to that really big contract.
Yeah.
And we were talking pregame about the amount of UFAs on this team. There's 8, including Phaneuf. And that was one thing that I wanted to talk to Daryl Sittler about, and just the psyche of a player, and knowing that essentially you don't know what your life is going to be like after this season.
Yeah.
That's got to play a little bit into your game and how you play the game. Obviously, you're playing for a contract, so you would like to obviously enhance your game, but at the same
Doesn't
time,
always work like that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It worries a lot of players. So for me, I would really like to know what that really is about. Someone be honest about that,
For sure.
And we should mention that if you missed our pregame show today, right here at Charlie Fitz Whiskey's, you missed Daryl Sittler, and you also missed John LeClaire. And we asked LeClaire what his impressions of the Flyers were. Let's talk about the Flyers for a minute, because this was their home opener. Clearly, they were psyched up. They had the extra power plays. They really had an opportunity to win this game against a team that looked very tired at the outset. But I don't think the Cavalier didn't show me anything.
No. And he didn't show a lot his last 2 years in Tampa Bay either, which is why he was bought out. I don't know. The Cavalier clearly is not the player he was when they won the Stanley Cup. And, none of those guys, well, except, I guess, Martin St. Louis, the one guy who didn't age from that team, right? Because you see now Brad Richards isn't what he used to be.
No.
The Cavalier is not what he used to be. And, Philadelphia got him. They spent a lot of money on him, even though
and you
they
did
bought
think
him out. I didn't really
we
see
all
him
thought
make
he was going
much
to be
of
an impact player, didn't you?
A little bit. A little more than what he showed. And, again, it's one game.
One game, yeah.
One game.
I didn't even see, he was like inconspicuous out
I know.
there.
And I didn't see a lot from him. The good chances Philadelphia had were coming from Giroux. Simmons had some good opportunities. Hartnell was a pest out there and doing what he does. And they had a lot of point shots as well, in which they tried to get screens in front, and Bernier did a nice job with guys in front of him of still seeing the puck. But, the Cavaliers should get better. I think a lot of Flyers can improve on what we saw tonight. Again, we didn't really see Mason testing much, and when he was, he gave up goals. He didn't really make a really nice save.
Key save,
no,
right.
So that's an issue if you're Philadelphia.
Goaltending again. What else is new in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Absolutely, but I do have to admit that Scott Hartnell, he was riddled with injuries all last season.
Yep.
Came into camp really in shape, and man, did he show it. He looks very speedy out there. Him and Giroux, I mean, both of them with those red locks, you don't even know who's who sometimes,
before
right?
the puck dropped, Hartnell was talking shit to Phil Kessel.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Because there was a slash that happened in the preseason he didn't like very
Well,
much.
him and Dion, of course, don't have a very
No.
good history
That's
either,
right? From the All-Star game. That's right. Suck it, enough.
Are the Flyers
Yeah.
a playoff team?
I say no.
I would like them to be, but it's not going to happen.
No.
There's, over in that other division, the Metropolitan Division, it's really tough.
Eastern Conference in general, because
Oh
you know
my
what?
gosh.
Don't forget you have two less teams that make it because they have two more teams.
That's
right.
And so they have the unbalance, and you only have 8 teams. I think there's 8 better teams than Philadelphia in the East.
Yeah, I don't think the Flyers make the playoffs either, and I don't think the Buffalo Sabres make
No.
it.
No.
They lose 2-1 in Detroit today.
At least
the
they
Red
made
Wings,
it close.
Yeah, they made it close. It was 2-0 pretty well the whole game.
Yeah.
Buffalo obviously got a goal late, maybe with the extra attacker. But I really think that Buffalo is in for a long season. I don't like anything about the Sabres. I don't even like their goaltending anymore.
No,
I used to like Miller.
Ryan
Yeah,
Miller,
the thing is, a lot of talk about Miller and Vanek being moved before the end of the year, and really starting from scratch there.
And Vanek is a good enough player that he'll get you some good quality.
Makes a lot of
Oh,
money though.
absolutely.
He's on that.
That's true.
That $50 million deal, he's overpaid, right? So.
But he's just, I think he's a genuine superstar.
He's a very good player. He's injured once a season for sure.
He's injury prone.
Yeah, always injured. Like a Joffrey Lupul. He's a good contributor when he's in the lineup. Very consistent guy when he is in the lineup. But can you count on him being in the lineup for 82 games?
Exactly.
That's the real question, right? And that would be one thing that I think Leaf fans are dying to see. Just someone like the Joffrey Lupuls out there, Joffrey Lupul being able to contribute night in, night out.
All right, you know what? We are live here. Leafs win it 3-1 over the Flyers. We'll take a quick break and we'll continue to talk. It's Leafs Talk, the post-game show from Charlie Fitz Whiskey's right here on Talk Sport.
Close.
Talk Sport
Talk
TV.
Sport TV. But it was close.